Okay.
So we're supposed to smile? Before we ready to go? Okay.
Oh, you are silly. Hi, Ken and Kelly Orchard. We are a father-daughter team. Between the two of us, I think we figured out we have like 90 some odd combined years in radio, which is really...
That's just me alone.
That's just you. Thank you. Yeah, I remember having a conversation. You every time you talk to anybody, you say, we did this and we did that. And it's like, I didn't do that. But you know, it's like, so it's...
Well, you've heard these stories so often.
Right, I have, I've heard these stories all my life. So
Now, Kelly will have a close-up of this. And
Are you not dictating how I'm going to edit these videos now? Is that what's going on here?
I want to show you. This is the picture of me in the studio of KHJ Radio in 1955, around Boss Radio days in Los Angeles.
What year?
1950. Well,
65. You said 55.
65.
So 65.
1965. Yes, I can't believe that was over 50 years ago. Anyway, on here you'll see an intercom. This is the way we did communications between the engineer and the disc jockey or anybody else in the building. We had intercom. You press a button on the intercom and it would then allow you to speak to that particular studio, to the newsman saying, news is up next, just stand by, stuff like that. All right, so anyway, when I used to take Kelly down...
And I never really understood why we were going to the station with you. I mean, not that I didn't enjoy it, but did you just like...
Early version of...
take your kid to work day?
Yeah.
But you take all of us at sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes you just take one of us. I mean, we're going to get to your story in a minute because it's one of my favorites. But I have very vivid memories of taking my Barbies down to KHJ with me because I went to work with Dad and setting my Barbies up either in the corner of the studio or what were you attached to, like the newsroom sometimes, or the news department?
Back in the recording.
Yeah, back in the recording, and I would be sitting in the corner playing with my Barbies while you were running your shift.
Right.
And those are some of my early childhood memories. But one of my favorites, and I tell it often, is, you know, I had 3 older brothers, and you would take us to work, whether you were working on a weekend or a night shift or whatever. And one of our favorite things to do, I mean, what kid wouldn't want to play in a radio station on-air studio? And we would play disc jockey, and we would, you know, go back and forth and play with all the equipment, and, you know, like typical kids would. So.
And then all of a sudden, Kelly.
All of a sudden, out of the speaker, the boombox. Yes, it was. Go ahead, say it.
Yes, it was Kelly.
No, it was like, hey, you kids, what are you doing down there? Like
right.
The voice of God. And I remember we got really scared. All of us maintained that memory for life. And we got very scared. At the time, we didn't really know that you were in another studio with who? One of the jocks?
Yes, there were so many.
So many, it's hard to remember which one it was, but it could have any one of those Boss Radio
They all
jocks.
had great voices.
Yeah, the voice of God. And you guys were like snickering and laughing because you just scared the H-E-double-L out of Ken's kids at the station, right?
That was their only fun.
It wasn't really, but it was just some of the fun things that you used to be able to get away with down there. Some of the fun stories, and that was one of them. And we have a lot of these kinds of interactions that we used to do. So
Showing this picture again, the intercom, and then you notice over here was a meter, and that part of the regulations in the FCC during the 60s and 70s is that you had to know the modulation feeding your transmitter, and so they installed a meter here next to the studio. And let's see, and it shows me, a young age, holding a great big trophy. That was from the Los Angeles City College Broadcasting Department. They gave me, as a former student, an honorary degree in Prairie Broadcasting Award, this trophy, for being a former alumni and working in the radio industry. So the trophy is still
you're covering your face with it, though.
Oh, the trophy is still at LA City College in Los Angeles, and the photo was taken by a fellow engineer.
We talked a lot about, you know, family coming to the station and different things that we used to do. I mean, and even our Mount Wilson video shared where, you know, Mom brought up Thanksgiving dinner, and, you know, you guys had Thanksgiving dinner at Mount Wilson when you were working. And I remember as a child, because you were that vacation relief guy, it was never really certain if you were going to be home for Christmas morning because you were the guy. So we started celebrating Christmas on Christmas Eve, knowing that you'd be gone on Christmas morning.
Did you come out to Palm Springs to some of those remotes that we were doing too?
I don't
remember.
I don't remember, Dad. Yeah, I do remember doing picnics out at the Culver City transmitter site. I remember having picnics. We'd have a little short, very short clip of a family picnic. I mean, it's like uncle and cousins and stuff were also out there at the time, like playing football or whatever. But I do remember doing picnics out at the transmitter site when you were working. And this is, I know, it is definitely a different era.
Yes.
But our experience in broadcasting, I believe, is pretty unique and pretty different than just about anybody else. And later videos we'll talk about building KVVQ and then building Kelly 95 and other stations. But it's like, there's such a long history. You had 21 years at KHJ and K Earth and Channel 9 in Los Angeles. 21 years. You went through a lot of people there. What are you looking at now?
I'm trying to find where's the. I'll go back even further.
You should go back even further.
This is my.
Oh yes.
This is me in 1951 at KGIL in Los Angeles, working there. No, I was 14 years old and I was visiting the station. A friend of mine in junior high school knew the disc jockey, and so he said, "Come on, let's go down and see him." So we went down, and he put me behind a chair and took my picture. Now, the picture was taken in 1951. Can you imagine that? And anyway, it's part of my tribute I'm doing.
To yourself,
basically. To myself. Look at the
Only you, Dad. Only
look at
you.
the turntables. I mean, this is before even the 45 record had been invented. Eventually, the year later, this 45 records, they were playing off of the regular turntables.
If you have any questions or like you heard something about, you heard something about Boss Radio back in the day and you wanted to get some clarification, here's one of the guys that has the answers, and he'd be able to tell you, like, okay, the last train to Clarksville Monkees promotion.
Yes. That was we changed the name of a town towards San Diego to Clarksville. That was after the Monkees had that release of their song Last Train to Clarksville, which was a big hit. And so we rented a train to drive us down to Clarksville,
wherever it was.
And it was just a phenomenal promotion for the station.
The Monkees were on the train.
Yes.
Right? So did they play?
They played. I don't think that they allowed them to drive the plane.
Drive. I hope not.
But it was.
But it was a listener. It was a listener thing where listeners could come in and the station. Were you on that train? Do you remember that? Or?
No, I cannot remember it.
You can't remember going on it. You just remember the promotion.
I can tell you about Tiny Tim though.
Yeah, you and that Tiny Tim thing.
Yeah.
But so it was like, so there was also a Batman promotion, and here's the thing: is like I remember there's a Batman card. Which is, when we fast forward into the 1980s, you did something similar with our radio station. But what was the Batman thing?
Batman was a creation of Warner Brothers, and their studios were in Burbank. And I volunteered, I didn't volunteer, I was told to do it, and to take the equipment, and I went over to the Burbank studio of Warner Brothers, and we were going to do a contest. The contest was to guess the telephone number of the Bat phone, and by giving out clues on the air. And so Adam West recorded these promos for the contest, and I got to visit with Adam West, and the promotions guy gave me a Batman credit card. It was all totally fictitious, but it was so funny and so clever. And I carried it in my wallet, and this was about the era when all of the MasterCards and stuff had started coming out. And so they'd ask you, "Have you got a credit card?"
You whip out your Batman
credit card and say, "Can we pay with this?"
You like you're a fool.
And Warner Brothers never accepted that.
They never would accept that, right?
But that was radio in that time. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. So any other kinds of promotions that you recall that were a lot of fun in the early days of Boss?
Well, we did concerts all over the place. And of course, Sonny and Cher were in the studios. The Rolling Stones were in the studio. Ringo Starr from the Beatles were on the studio. In fact, it's even hard to believe that the Rolling Stones are even older than our Supreme Court is today.
Oh, that reminds me, not of Supreme Court or the Rolling Stones, but you have an Elvis sighting story.
Elvis. Our transmitter was remoted by remote control. That we could operate it in the studios in Hollywood. And the transmitter engineer was out there one day, and he says, "Hey, Ken,"
He calls you up, right?
calls me up on the intercom, a special phone setup, and he calls me up and he says, "Elvis is in the driveway in his car and wants to hear a song." And I said, "We can do that, but there's no way I can come out and take pictures." So anyway, Elvis was there.
So Elvis was making a request from your transmitter
Probably
set.
"Don't Be Cruel" or something like
One
that.
of his but it was one. It's like you only see a handful of movies now where you realize that recording artists used to do a road show. They would take their wares to the radio station in hopes that
The disc
jockey would play their song. And so that's pretty much what Elvis was doing in Los Angeles. Was he was looking for transmitter sites and he found it, but you weren't broadcasting from there.
And Sonny and Cher, other stars, and we could tell the story about when all these people would come into the studio. I would take my microphone and a tape recorder and go out and record them saying these little.
Okay, but that's another story. We're going to tease that because that's for later, right?
Right.
All right. So say over and out, goodbye, or say thanks for watching, whatever you say.
Okay, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. This is Ken and Kelly, Orchard Radio at its finest. Over and out.